to solving algebraic equations. So first, let's solve algebraic equations with variables on the same side of the equation. Okay, so if we have, for example, on one side of the equation, something that says the weight of 2 bowling balls, which is 2x. We don't know exactly what it is. We have 2x over here. Plus, we know the weight of a bowling ball, another bowling ball, is 6. And we know that the total of all these things is equal to 9. So, if we know that, we got that from our word problem. For example, the weight of a bowling ball is 6 kilograms, 2 bowling pins, and a bowling ball weighed 9 kilograms. What's the weight of a bowling pin? So x is 1 bowling pin, and we have 2 bowling pins, 1 bowling ball. 2 bowling pins, 1 bowling ball, and total. Okay, so we need to figure out what is the weight of a bowling pin. So again, these are balanced right now. If we want to get rid of the 6 over here, we have to do the same thing on both sides so that this doesn't become unbalanced. So if I take 6 away from here, I also take 6 away from there. So remember, bring down the equals. Same thing done on both sides. 9 minus 6 is 3. 6 minus 6 is nothing. 2x over here. So we have just taken out 3. Now if I want to do the, if I want to just find x, so instead of the weight of 2 bowling pins is 3, I want to find just 1 bowling pin. So I would divide by 2. Now if I divide this side by 2, of course those cancel. That becomes x. And if I divide this by 2, x becomes 3/2 kilogram. And that is our answer. So 2 steps. Subtract 6. Second step. Divide by 2. And you get your answer. Okay. A second method would be you could write it out on the balance, kind of like we did before. So if you draw the balance here, and you know that we have 2 x's and 6 little ones. And on the other side we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so if I take away 6 from this side, those have been lifted out. Minus 6. I also have to take away 6 from this side. Those have been lifted out. So then I have 2x equals 3. So now, if I divide it by 2, I also have to divide this side by 2. And then we find, we get rid of one of those, we get rid of one of those. What we're left with on this side is x. What we're left with on this side is 1.5. So we can see that it's the same here, because 3/2 is the same as 1.5. So we get 1.5 kilograms. Same thing, 2 methods. Okay, now to go back and check it, we take our original equation and we put this into the equation and see if it's true. So instead of x now, we substitute 1.5 plus 6 equals 9. 2 times 1.5 is 3. Plus 6 equals 9. 9 equals 9. That is true. So we know that that indeed is our answer. Okay? Example number 2. So, solve each equation. 3 minus 7x equals 10. So first step, we are going to want to get rid of that 3. So we're going to minus 3 from both sides. 10 minus 3 becomes 7. Remember, you have to keep the negative with things. Don't forget the negative. So we bring down negative 7x. Bring down the equals. And 3 minus 3 is nothing. So now we want to get rid of the 7, but we also want to get rid of the negative because we don't want to find negative x. So we're going to divide it by negative 7. And divide by negative 7. Now, negative 7 cancel, so we get x. Equals comes down. And over here, 7 divided by negative 7. Well, 7 divided by 7 is 1. But a positive divided by a negative is a negative, so x becomes negative 1. Okay, and then let's check it. So put it back into our original equation. This is a good way to get a really good score in a test because you always check your answers to make sure they're okay. So put in our negative 1 for x here, equals 10. 3 minus negative 7 equals 10. We know 3 minus a negative is a positive, and 10 does indeed equal 10, so it is true. Okay, B, 1/6 y minus 1/3 equals 2. First step is going to be to add 1/3, because remember the opposite of subtracting is adding. So to get rid of 1/3, we have to add it. Now, of course, keep the equations balanced, so we do the same thing to both sides. We get 1/6 y, those cancel, equals 2 and 1/3. Okay, I am going to turn that into a mixed equation. So mixed fraction, and it becomes 7/3 equals 1/6 y. Now remember, I want to get rid of this 1/6. So I could either divide by 1/6 or I could multiply by the inverse, which is 6/1. And I do the same thing to this side. Multiply by 6/1. So of course those cancel, those cancel. We get y, equal sign comes down, and 7/3 times 6/1, well that reduces to 2, that reduces to 1. 7 times 2 is 14/1, which is nothing. So our answer becomes 7/14. Let's check it. 1/6 y, we'll put in 14 for y, minus 1/3 equals 2. So we get 14/6 minus 1/3 equals 2. We could also say 17/3, or 7, okay, so here, let's just do it this way. 14/6, 1/3 is the same as saying, we have to have least common denominator, so 1/3 is the same as saying 2/6 equals 2. So 14 minus 2 is 12/6 equals 2. 12/6 we know is the same as 2, so that checks out. Okay, next one, C. X plus 1.5 minus 0.5x equals 4.5. First step is going to be to combine. So we want to combine the x and the negative half x. So if we have a whole x and we take away half an x, that gives us only half an x left. Now let's get rid of that 1.5 by subtracting it from both sides. We bring the equal sign down. Those cancel, of course. 0.5x comes down. 4.5 minus 1.5 is 3. So now we divide by 0.5. which becomes x equals 1.5. And let's check it. In this problem, we could say 0.5 plus 1.5, or sorry, 1.5 is our x here, plus 1.5 minus 0.5 times 1.5 equals 4.5. Alright, so we get 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3 minus 1/2 times 1.5, which is make sure I did that right. See, as I'm calculating this out, I figure out this is not going to work. So I need to go back and figure out what I did in my problem. Good learning moment. All right. So here I combined, and I got 1/2 x. Then I got 1.5 and 4.5. Here's the problem. 3 divided by 1/2 is not 1.5, it's actually 6. So now, let's try to check it again. 6 plus 1.5 minus 0.56 equals 4.5. Well, combining these, we get 7.5 minus half of 6, which is 3, equals 4.5. 4.5 does indeed equal 4.5, and check. That just saved me a negative mark on a test or quiz. Guided practice 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and try that on your own. Okay, so now we have both side variables. Okay, so to do both sides, there's a couple ways to do it. Now, Paul and Rachel are asked to solve 4x plus 7 equals x plus 10. So as shown, they isolate the variables on different sides. They're on different sides. So one method would be to first put the algebraic term on the left side of the equation. So we could do it on the left side or the right side. In both ways, you would get an answer. So here, if we want to put it on the left, we simply subtract x from both sides. And if we subtract x from this side, we get 3x plus 7. If we subtract x from that side, we get 10. Now let's say you wanted to put it on the right. I would have to subtract 4x from both sides. So let's say we subtract 4x from this side, we get 7. 4x from this side, we get negative 3x plus 10. And then you could solve it either way. So here you would subtract the 7. You would get 3x equals 3. Divide both by 3, you'd get x equals 1. Same over here. Let's say we subtract the 10 from both sides. Bring down the equals. That gives us negative 3 equals negative 3x. Divide both by negative 3. And we get negative 1 equals x. Same thing. So again, there's a couple methods to do it. Make sure you can see that. So now let's try an example. Okay, it says 8 minus 5x equals 2x plus 22. Now again, you can move it to the right or the left. I typically will take the -1, and I will move it to the other side if there's 1. So I'm not going to show you both methods here. If you want to see the other one, you can look in the book. So I'm going to add 5x to both sides. Now that we get 8, those cancel, bring down the equals. That becomes 7x, that becomes 22. Now I want to get rid of the 22 on this side. So I subtract 22 from both sides. Equals carries. 8 minus 22 is -16. We get 7x over here. I'm sorry, it's -14. So now we divide by 7, carry down the equals, and that gives us -2 equals x. B, 2.9y plus 2.7 equals 1.1y minus 9.9. Alright, there is a way to kind of simplify the process that I like to do. I like to actually subtract two things at once. So I'm going to pick the smaller number of y to move to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 1.1y from both sides. Now I know that once I've done this and my y is on this side, I'm going to want to move